Jon Mendez here. I've just thought we'd have a little chat through about something you don't see very often on a motorboat, and that's lifelines or tethers. So when you sail, you expect to be on board and on deck working a fair bit. So sailing boats tend to have a line down each side of the deck which you can clip your lifeline to, so that when you're working you're safe and secure, and if you did fall off you're connected to the boat can slow down and you can be rescued, which all sounds fantastic. Don't see that very often on motorboats because in general we don't need to be out on the decks at sea doing things. So people don't tend to think about lifelines. However, recently while doing some man overboard training, it became quite apparent that on a lumpy day there was a fair chance of whoever was actually doing the rescuing falling off as well. So I thought it'd be really good to just highlight what's available and what to think about. So what can you use to attach yourself to the boat? So many years ago I made myself a very simple method of attachment, and that was when my son was quite young. He was a bit of a terror on the boat, and I liked a line to have him clipped on so that he was safe. He's grown up a bit since, but so all I did was make a fixed loop and a clip, and the advantage of that was that went through the becket on the life jacket, the line fed through back on itself, so he couldn't undo that end, and I chose where this end clipped to. So that's a very simple, very sensible, not difficult to do, and might well serve your life. Moving on from that, you can have something a bit posher, and this is a fixed length line which has a little overload indicator on it, which just allows you to see if it's ever been used and stretched too far. And this has clips that we have to release one half to push it in, and they're designed that they can clip around a lifeline on the boat if it has them, or onto a strong point, or you can go round something and back onto itself, making a loop. The other end would be clipped on your life jacket. So that's version 2. And then the one that I like, and I use this a fair bit when I deliver because I like the ability to think about it, I don't want something tangling up. So I have one that has the same overall length, but it has a stretchy cover so that it's not getting in the way. Has the same style of clip, and again I can go round something and back on itself, and this end goes on me. So that's the basic sorts. You can get these with more than one hook, so you can transfer from one strong point to another. Just a little consideration with any of these, but particularly with the one where you've closed it on itself, if you need to release in a hurry, you need a knife. So it's always wise to carry, I just carry a rescue knife, which is very sharp. Don't get that anywhere near your fingers. If you're wearing a spin lock life jacket, they actually have a hook style knife, so that's a rubber cover over an extremely sharp knife that will just cut through there in seconds, so you can release yourself. Just something to bear in mind. So a harness or a safety line is all very well, but you need something to attach it to. So you can have a permanent harness which you put on for an emergency, but hopefully you wear life jackets. Now if we take a standard style motorboat life jacket and just pop it on, and one of the nice things about this is the clip is really simple. Obviously we've got crutch straps and we need to adjust it to our tightness, but when we look at it here, there's no obvious clip point. So when we use our lifeline, all we can do is clip onto the cloth part itself or go round and back on ourselves, and that's not ideal. So life jackets like this are great, but in a safety situation where you want to be clipped to the boat, not the best. So what are the alternatives? So we can have same style of life jacket. This one has a slightly different buckle, a little bit more complicated to put through, so one end goes through the other. And again we have crutch straps and all of that. But you'll see on this one there is a dedicated D life ring point, and that is sewn through the webbing so it can't move. And the webbing on this one is slightly thicker and slightly stronger than that one. So this is designed to be used as a life jacket, but also as a harness, which is not a bad idea. So I'd always have one of these amongst the collection on the boat. And then lastly, like everything in life, there's advantages and disadvantages. So this is my personal life jacket. I like this, I find it very comfy, and it has a reasonably easy connection method. And you'll see it has nice fixed straps, but on this one, the D-ring is actually a soft sewn one. Now, motorboats generally have lovely interiors. Metal buckles tend to trash things. Soft buckles, soft shackles like this, allows you to connect but without doing damage to the interior of the boat when you're wandering around, not in a safety situation. So worth a think, you can choose. So this is my personal life jacket. I just like the fact that it's got everything on it, and that suits me fine. So we talked about the 3 attachment methods. Just a soft eye. So soft eye goes through, you put the end of the safety line through, pull tight, and now I have this much length. So I can clip around something or to something. Or if I want, so I could go round and just clip on like that, and that gives me all of that play. Or something to contemplate, if you're falling off the boat, all of these can be shortened by just going round whatever you're going on and back on yourself, and you've effectively halved the distance that you can fall. So quite sensible. And that's true of them all. Both the other attachment methods use the same method. They have this little clip and you just clip on there. And again, you can go around something and back on itself. Bit fiddly this one. Or you can make it much shorter. So that will give me all of that. Or I can make it a bit shorter by just bringing it in and clipping back on myself, and that halves it. And then my personal favourite, so the springy do part of this means that the whole thing is not getting in the way all the time. So I can go round something, and instead of it being a trip hazard, it gives me that big range of movement if I want, but the moment I close up it doesn't cause me an issue. And if I want to be really short, I can just go back on myself, and I have that same maximum movement, but actually it doesn't get in the way. No trip hazard. So recently, when doing some man overboard training, generally motorboating wise, we're collecting the casualty at the lowest point on the boat and downwind, so somewhere in this area. And whilst observing some people trying to manhandle a full-size, full-weighted dummy in, it was quite apparent that they needed both hands for the casualty, and therefore they had nothing to hold on with. So it really quickly became apparent that having yourself clipped on a short line meant I could bend down here, secure that I wasn't going in, but could really help with that rescue in a way that I couldn't if I didn't have this. So it suddenly made me think, we can make things safer, we can make things more sensible. So a man overboard situation, and if I was using the passerelle to lift somebody, again I can be clipped onto the superstructure of the boat. These are all really strong, and I'm not endangering me and becoming a second casualty. On a motorboat, the only other time that we might really need to think about clipping on is if we've got a problem with the anchor. Either it's come loose at sea, or we've anchored and the weather's turned rough and we're struggling to get it up. So again, having a harness and a tether line is not a bad shout, because if you fall off, it's going to go wrong quite quickly. So if your anchor's got a strong point where the chain's secured, you can clip on there quite happily. That's through bolted and plenty strong enough. Or we could go round the rails. Now the rails are not ideal, they'll take your weight all right, but you could fall off the side of the boat and be suspended on your harness. So if I had the situation where I needed to work on the anchor, I might well go round the rail, back on me, and this is where this stretchy one's good. I can work, I can organise something, I'm pretty secure, and I can't fall very far. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas about thinking about, should I tether, and should I have a tether on the boat for when I'm motorboating? And for me the answer is yes. Moving along the side decks on a motorboat, you've got really good handrails and you can keep your body weight low. But if it's proper rough and you need to come up forward, consider coming out the forehatch. Something for you to think about.